Happy effing Sunday. It is October 27th, about like 9 days, maybe even 8 days before the election. But that's not what this is about. It's about World Supercross. And our boy, dude, Eli Tomac, freaking decimates the field with a flat tire. Crazy. And okay, if I have to complain about anything, I kind of want to say that it was just the timing and scoring. Because if you were watching it live, because truthfully, here, go to fim-moto.tv. If you want to watch the race, all you have to do is sign up. It is free. They're doing a great job. And for somebody that has spent, $150 for premium Peacock to have it sometimes where you can't rewind, pause, whatever, this is nice to have it for free. So it's hard to complain about something that is free. Right. And this was good racing. The track was, it was subpar, I would believe, because it was fairly one line. But what made it interesting was the soil. The soil just fell apart. It almost seemed like it was like the silt sand there in Canada, where that was gnarly. And watching somebody like Tomac, his bike, his setup was perfect, where that guy would just fall into ruts, and where other guys were having to roll stuff, he could just jump and go through things. And he pretty much decimated the field. Qualifying didn't go as well. Super pole didn't go as well as he would have thought, like at least what I would have thought, because Kenny actually came out and beat him, right? And Kenny ended up winning the first race. Because here, to give some context, let's look at this race format here, just because they're trying something different. But if I had to complain about anything, it was kind of the timing and scoring, because it's like, guys, you've been doing this for 3 years. I know there's new management here, but it's moving in the right direction. For one, you have a full stadium. I like it being there in Canada. Canada should honestly have more races. They've tried this before with the FIM World Supercross on the American series, and not many pros showed up, at least the privateers. They were all kicking themselves like, man, why didn't I try to go across the border and I would have actually been in the main event, And if it does look like I've got eyeliner on, it's because I can't freaking get the damn makeup off. That I've been going to a couple Halloween parties with my daughter. She wanted to be a dinosaur, but she wanted to be a historically accurate dinosaur. She wanted to be a dead skeleton dinosaur. So that's why I got this damn stuff that I can't freaking get off, But shout out to all the dads there that put up with all the makeup and everything. But that's a little context here. And Robert says, I like to watch the leaders race more than the back markers. Yeah, that's kind of a thing. And gosh, it's one of those things where this was really just a race of two guys. It was Kenny versus Tomac. The 250 class, they've got a lot of somewhat heavy hitters there, but we really want to see Anstie versus McElrath, and Anstie is only racing one because this was his wild card, but I'll get into that to a moment. First off, with the context is I wanted to go over what their format is. Okay. So they do practice, then they do qualifying 15 minutes. And that's basically the starting gate positions for the main events, where Kenny came out on top. Tomac was third. I believe Freezy was third. Did I say Tomac was third? Tomac was second. And then they do the Super Pole finals, where Tomac had the lead until Kenny came across and took the W. Then they do 3 races. And each of these races, I believe, are worth 25 points. So you got race 1, 8 laps, then 5 minutes, then 8 laps. And then they take a little bit of a break, which was nice. The track crew ended up fixing up the whoops, because it was cool to have 9+ whoops, except for they were small. However, because everyone was just WFO through them, they got super, super choppy. This track just fell apart, which just leads it to how Tomac and Kenny are just on another level than everybody. And truthfully, I still feel like Kenny needs to get away from the Suzuki. Just old technology. Yeah, you put new technology bolted onto old frame and whatnot. I just think if Kenny was back on a Honda, man, or on the Yamaha, or maybe even the Triumph, with some new now that my dreams have been shot, if you watched my interviews with Tomac on the podium for the World Super Motocross finale in Vegas, saying that he's going to retire and he's not going to be on Ducati. Well, next up, I'd like to see Kenny on the Ducati. And there's honestly rumors that Kenny isn't going to be racing in America, but those are just that, allegedly they are rumors. But back to what I was talking about without digressing, I do enjoy the fact that these guys have only a 5-minute turnaround. There's lots of racing going on here between qualifying to the Super Pole to freaking 8 minutes, then 12 minutes, rather than just a 22-minute final. Then they do an open class, which is pretty cool, where they take the top 8 of everyone from the 250 and 450 and have them race against. Tomac decimated everybody, just flat out decimated everybody in every start besides that first one with Kenny. Kenny ended up having some issues. He ended up going down and he got 11th during one of the races. I believe was race 2, because he was riding over his head because he's the defending champion and he knows that he's got to beat Tomac rather than what happened last year where Tomac just won every race on round 1, because again, they were doing 3 races besides the open class super final, which I really like. I like the idea of the open class. I just want to see more depth field. Like, this would be an awesome iteration to the sport if, say, we had the Lawrence brothers on there, we had Webb, you had all the Anderson, you had all the major guys, Deegan, Tom Vial, like all the dudes for 250s and 450s. That would be a sweet open class, and not saying anything harsh about the field right now. It's somewhat lackluster, especially on the 250 side. But I will say that I do give it up to the series for giving this stuff away for free, because after 3 years, this still feels sort of like the first full season, even though it's only 4 races, because they've got some bigger guys with Kenny and also Tomac leading the charge. However, it just feels as if it's in beta, right? It just feels like it's not quite there. So I enjoy them giving it away for free, because that's nice. Like, you can't complain about free. And it was a very professionally done race. And I do enjoy their format, because this is awesome. But this would just be cool if this was here in America with all the top guys, because I'm a guy that spent $40 to watch the MX of Nations. And yeah, I freaking loved it. I don't feel like it was a waste of money, but let's just say, for instance, this guy had a premium of $100 for the series. I probably, might go halvesies with some of my friends, for it, because I just don't feel as if for the value there. But that's just me being honest here, because the racing action was essentially just Tomac decimating the field and Kenny trying to hold on. Kenny pushing through, because again, 2023, he only had to contend with Tomac for 1 race because he was a wild card. Now he's got to do it for 4 races. And I will say that with the point shakeup, it's nice that they give weight to every main event, where it's not like a buildup of like, hey, here's 2 points, then here's 10 points, and then here's blah, blah, blah. I believe it's like 5 points to win the Super Pole, then 3 for second, and maybe 1 or 2. Somebody might correct me if I'm wrong, for third. But then it's 25, 25, 25, right? And then, I believe 25 to win this. So they're all adding up. And that's how we get to Tomac leading with 100 points here, with Roxon with 84, even with that 5-point bonus for the Super Pole. He got that 11th place during the second one, where that was a bummer. But it was cool to see him kind of go on the back. And we saw Freezy pretty much piss off half the field. Like, he tried to take out Oldenburg, then give it up to Mitchell. He took out Oldenburg, and those guys are not on the same team anymore. They used to be on MCR, but now Oldenburg is not on the same team. So, that was kind of cool to see. Then Freezy tried to take out Joey. The Joey was pushing Freezy. It's got to suck to be the one dude that has that target on your back, where everybody just wants to stay away from you or knows that, hey, if you do something, I'm just going to take your ass out. But at the same time, if you have that kind of reputation, you could be like a Ken Roxon, because every time we see Ken Roxon get close to Freezy, he loses time, just like on that last race for the super final where Tomac was out front. He got amazing start, but then Freezy came in and pushed him, and Kenny ended up having to go through the inside. But Freezy slows down Ken Roxon because Kenny's not willing to just put him over the tough blocks, because in the next corner he's probably going to check your ass out. And Ben says that Joey looked a bit rusty. I don't necessarily think Joey looked a bit rusty. I believe he was fast. I think that track was just a very simple track where the only big motion that I'm going to go over in one of my videos this week was that triple quad. That looked like the hardest section. And then there was some triple. The whoops were small. Like, it was a fairly easy, fast track. However, once the track started deteriorating, and because of the sheer fact that these guys are racing for God, okay, here's 20 minutes, 28 minutes, then, what is that, 40 minutes? They're doing 40-minute main event. That is insane. That's like 2 full main events here in America. Pretty close, about 90-ish%, right? That is a lot of time on the track. So even though that their series is only 4 races for the championship, they're actually doing more like 8 races because of the time on the track, which is fun to watch. I do like seeing all this, and I did like to see that they did redo the whoops, especially, and some of the pristine sections of the track during this 30-minute break here, because they had to, because that was just so much just decimation of the track itself, which, me, I'm kind of that guy that's like, oh, safety wise. And I don't know if it was lack of funding maybe, or it was a good idea to put cardboard for the tough blocks. Truthfully, as a rider, most of those guys, once they see a tough block, you're like, oh crap, I'm going down. But if it's just full of cardboard, you're just gonna hold it wide and you're just gonna roll over it, and hopefully you don't catch the cover on the tough block. But that cardboard seems pretty good. And then maybe around the whoops, that's really, there's an argument there as far as safety. Do you have a tough block that's full of nothing, or do you have a tough block that is full of foam, right? Maybe more rounded, triangle-ish or something, to where you could at least ride over it. Because a normal tough block that's heavy with its sharp square edges, it's going to take your front wheel and go out. And Ben, I'm going to highlight another one of your comments here, because you said it was cool to see Ralph and Emick hired back. Yes, dude, they make a awesome team. Like, it was fun to listen to those guys commentate on the track. There was really no mistakes. Like, it was very professional, right? And I can't say enough about how these guys are giving this away for free. So again, I'm not sponsored by them, but just go to fim-moto.tv, subscribe for free, just register, and you can watch the highlights and the whole race, right? Yeah, there's some initial commercials in there that they have for their sponsors, but it's no different than watching it live on Peacock, but you're not spending $12.99 a month for it, right? This is a major good value as to, like, why not do this? This is an amazing just giving back to the community, I would say, because they're spending lots and lots of money, because I believe the reason why they went with new direction with people with World Supercross, I'm not going to name names here, but just somebody spending too much money, right? You can only imagine how expensive it is to run a race, right? Upwards of 6 figures to 7 figures for a race, with insurance and everyone that it's a big event, right? And yeah, it was a little bummer to see that it didn't seem like the stadium was completely packed. But again, this is new, right? And we live in a demographic of dirt bike racers where we think this is life, right? But Tomac, if he goes into Walmart, it's going to be very rare that he gets stopped for an autograph, unfortunately, But if Taylor Swift went to a Supercross race, she would have to have her bodyguards and everything with her, because this crazy Swift phenomenon, right? It's a difference in popularity, but it is cool to see World Supercross getting this here. And I would really like to see as far as if I'm going with the 250s, some more heavy hitters come in here. Enzo Lopes, awesome to see him in there. Cody Schock, Cullen Park, like Derek Kelly. This is awesome for some of the privateers. I just want a little bit more depth of field, like just to put it in reference, I enjoy triathlon, but the only race I watched was the World Championships, where it was all the heavy hitters. That was this last weekend, right? I watched a little bit of that yesterday, but I don't follow it all the time. Same thing with UFC. It's only when there's like a big fight going that I'll purchase $110 to watch Conor McGregor get his ass kicked for the 7th time or something. That's the only time that I'm really going into this, because I'm not a true fan. So in my opinion, if you're trying to get guys that aren't totally just two-wheel knuckleheads, you need to have some more heavy hitters like you do the 450 class. Because I enjoyed watching the 450 class, but it was Tomac kind of ran away with it, and he ended up winning with a flat tire. Granted, yeah, there's a little bit of clickbait there, because the flat tire actually happened during the super final on the last lap or so, but on a track like that, pretty gnarly that he was still able to come across there. And that CDR Yamaha is basically a Star Yamaha. I don't know if he's got the same bike as Matt Moss. I would think so, but maybe it's just under the same tent. But Star Yamaha and the CDR Yamaha are two different bikes. The one is the factory bike from Australia, and then the other one is the Star Yamaha, just with different graphics under the tent. Like, again, I'm speculating there, but that's kind of what I'm going with. I would like to go to some of these races to see a little bit more of the components, because his suspension worked so well. It's hard to imagine that he just showed up and was like, hey, here's the bike. I'm pretty sure if I was Tomac, right, I'd be bringing my suspension dude with me, and because I'm assuming World Supercross is paying him, 6-ish figures on the north of that 7 to be here for the 4 races. That's just, if I was Tomac, again, your stock is pretty high. So therefore it's better to ask for more and then them rebuttal and say no, then you meet somewhere in the middle, rather than just be okay with, okay, we're going to give you 250,000, right? That's Tomac. Smart business guy. He should be getting 7 figures or so, we got somebody saying that the Ducati nonsense was always just that nonsense. No, I don't think it was nonsense. Do you see what they're doing in MotoGP? Those guys all of a sudden decided to just destroy Honda by just throwing a crap ton of money. Look at what Roger DeCoster and Dungey did with KTM. KTM was a powerhouse over in Europe, but then KTM corporate decided to, all right, from Austria, we're just going to take over. We're going to buy gas. We're going to buy Husky. We're going to throw a lot of money at R&D. And what happens? You get a guy that becomes like a 3-time champion, and boom, then everybody wants a freaking bike. I ended up getting some support from Husky, and only reason is kind of because of how the progression came, because the Husky, Husky-ish, the triangle, gas, Husky, KTM. The KTM sucked over here because we saw Jeremy McGrath on his Bud Light bike, even though that was a sick-ass looking bike. Nobody wanted to ride that thing, especially with the linkage attached to the swing arm. You're just like, dude, this thing is going to be riding one of those spring ponies at the park you take your kid to. Nobody wants that stuff, but totally changed it. And my point being, because it's a very long-winded answer, is Ducati has been spending massive amounts of money. Now they've got Antonio Caroli for a dude to help sell that bike and do some R&D. And I will say that I almost would lean more towards Antonio Caroli's technical ability for building a motorcycle than Ricky Carmichael's in the Triumph, right? I just, not that there's anything against Ricky Carmichael. Like, he is the GOAT. He works really hard. I'm just saying that the age discrepancy right here, you got some guy that has raced the newer bikes and learned to develop and ride better, and then newly retired. That's the guy that I want to help develop the bike. Then it would be nice to have somebody like Carmichael to be like, okay, let's use your clout, your popularity to sell, right? Rather than just develop the bike. Antonio Caroli, good test guy. That's just my point of view. Not saying that it was wrong, just after riding the Triumph, very well built motorcycle that's middle of the ground, but nothing spectacular. Nothing was like, ooh, I want to buy this motorcycle. And I'm assuming that's what the 450 RC version is going to be like. It's just like it's going to be that nostalgia first rendition. I'm buying a Triumph because I've got the money to spend, and that's what I'm doing. Truthfully, if you're wanting a race bike, you're probably going to end up with a factory edition Honda, their works edition, I think, or the factory edition KTM, something of that nature, because it's just a little bit more, just better, just plain better. But I'm digressing here. To end the live show here. Oh, these guys are wanting to know, did I watch it live from FIM Moto TV? Yeah, I tried to, but I ended up having to use a VPN at first. I don't know why I was being weird, but truthfully, I did have a little bit of issues with it streaming, especially to the Chromecast to my TV. It was a little annoying, right? It was a little annoying. But again, I can't complain because it was free. You know, I'm way more pissed at Peacock when I can't rewind that effer because I'm missing something, or I'm buying for the premium package and I'm seeing commercials because I'm spending my money. I'm spending $12.99 a month or more, depending upon where you live. Like, I'm pissed when those mistakes happen. But for this, I can't be upset because it was free. Can't be upset because it was free. But in ending here, you know, we saw Shane McElrath, which I believe is the 2012, the first year winner of this, end up with the overall with 89 points. Anstey, dude, this guy struggled, right? He came out winning and was pumped. Won the first one, crashed twice the second one, ended up crashing again, and then the super final stuff went wrong. Like, it was a little bit of a hard pill to swallow for Anstey. So hopefully he won't need this wild card anymore. And truthfully, that was pretty much the race. It was between McElrath and Anstey. If Anstey kept it on two wheels, he was going to win. And so Shane got a little bit of a gift here, right? So hopefully he can have that buffer of the points. 450 class, Kenny's got some work to do because Tomac was a second plus a lap faster than him. And that's kind of a shame. That's kind of a wake-up call. But do I think that that is a talent deficiency? No, I really think that that is a support deficiency and technology with the KTM, right? That's my point. But maybe I guess you could argue that Kenny versus Beast Mode. Beast Mode is the guy that truthfully could race Ironmans, could go ride for 9 hours and be just as fast as what he was hour one. Where Kenny, whether it's Epstein-Barr or chronic fatigue syndrome, something, maybe the arms, but it's always been a something that has held him back since his Honda days, where I don't even know how he's racing. It's a miracle that dude is racing with what he's been through. But ever since then, there's just been that one thing that, like, dude, when he takes his shirt off and everything, you're like, dude, this is a fit mofo. However, for some reason, he somewhat falls on his face. Like the drain plug is out and the motor just seizes on him. And for a format like this now, where this used to really, really suit a guy like Kenny, where it was just sprint, but over 40 minutes of racing, that's where endurance kicks in, because how fast can you recover? And yes, this is under FIM, so I believe it is WADA that will test these guys. However, you know, at this point, I don't really care. I want to just see these guys race as hard as they can, and you know, it's up to them. But okay, now guys are saying that go with F1 starting. I have to, with the staggeredness. It's not a big popularity deal with how I've been doing. And they did find one tough block cover. I believe it was one of the Yamaha guys in the 250 class. I'd have to look back to officially know his number. But hey, if you like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, that notification icon, and let's get this to 1,000 likes. That would be freaking amazing. And I'll have the live show tomorrow morning, and I'll also have the line choice video that comes out this week as well. And then the new show, as always, on Wednesday. So till next time, everybody, keep it WFO. Go enjoy your Sunday evening. And yeah, if you miss the race, FIM-moto.tv, sign up for free.